So good morning, everyone, and good evening, Mr. Kartare. I hope everyone is doing well. I am Nikhil Swalka from second year MCA. I am the lead of DSC at SPIT. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all to the inaugural event of DSC. Backed by Google, we at DSC will bring you technical sessions and courses on Google products along with some hackathons and workshops. We will provide you with a taste of technical knowledge and hands-on experience of the latest advancements in Google ecosystem. Developer Student Clubs is a program supported by Google developers. We are planning multiple events under the club throughout the year. We will be inviting industry and tech experts for hosting sessions for you, and it will be beneficial for you to get a glimpse of how technologies are used in the industry. We will be organizing hackathons for you to participate, which will help you to develop problem-solving skills and get a practical approach towards software development. Google provides resources on trending Google technologies like Google Cloud, Android, machine learning, etc. A facilitator will be assigned by our team, and he or she will be responsible for providing training and learning material to all the students, which will be provided by Google only. To monitor our progress and to ensure that we deliver the best to you, we are grateful to have Pooja ma'am as our club mentor. She is the head of the Department of MC at SPIT. Together with it, I have a group of people to help me plan and manage events. We plan to bring the best and bring the interesting and exciting events and seminars which will be helpful for your growth. This is our official page. Please join our college chapter using this link to be updated about the upcoming events. We will be pasting the link in the chat box soon. Now Jay will brief you about today's event.
Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you so much. Coming to today's event, this webinar will be conducted to give you a glimpse on how computer vision, image processing, and deep learning is used in autonomous vehicles. And to shed some light on the topic, we have Mr. Mahesh Kadkare, completing his MTech in Electronic Computer Engineering from IIT Guwahati. He started his career working as a scientist at Computational Research Lab, now part of TCS, where he developed high-performance parallel algorithm for image and signal processing. Currently, Mr. Kadkare is a team lead at NVIDIA, Santa Clara, California. His work primarily focuses on new features and performance, improvement of image and signal processing, and JPEG. Now, I would like to invite our mentor, Dr. Pooja Rondale, to speak a few words. Over to you, ma'am.
A very good morning and a warm morning to everyone. And very good evening to Mr. Mahesh. I'm very happy to install this new club in SPIT, Google's Developer Club. Everybody knows now we have started a chapter in SPIT, and this is such a vibrant team working with us for taking all those events ahead. I'm really thankful to the entire team. I'm thankful to the principal, deans, and the other HODs for support. And a big thank you, Mr. Mahesh. You have accepted our invitation, and let's inaugurate this particular chapter under Coding Club. So this team will be doing the efforts in achieving the objectives. And I'm hopeful that the team does very well and project SPIT, project the students on the platform. Hello.
Yeah, thank you, madam.
Yeah. I welcome Mr. Mahesh, and I think we can carry on our proceedings further. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now, without taking much of your time, let's.
Oh.
But before that, I want to state one thing: that please put your question in Q&A section if you have any. Don't put any in the chat box now. Over to you, Mr. Kadkare. Thank you, sir. We will proceed now.
Yeah, I'm not like I have one question. The share screen is not enabled for me.
So I just stopped my screen share, so you will be able to do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sounds
yes,
good.
Sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and it's good night time for me, but it is pleasure to talking to you guys and giving me brief overview about what exactly industry is doing and how academia and industry has a lag. So this is a good platform to you guys to come up and understand how really whatever the new technology really using in industry. So that really help you. So let me see.
Yeah. By the time you adjust your screen, I just want to mention that Mr. Mahesh, I met him in one of the HTTP conducted by Pune Engineering College, and I was behind him since many days, couple of weeks, to have a session for our students and our institute. And we will take this association further. We are having upcoming international conference for SPIT, ICC ICT 2021. So maybe we can have some association, and we can we can have you on certain positions there. So or maybe a tutorial or a TPC or any kind of association. So looking forward for the association, and thank you really. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure, basically, giving this introduction. So, okay, you guys can see my screen now. You guys can see my screen. So,
No, sir, we are unable to see your screen.
So I just see
A black screen only. Just see the adjustment.
I think.
yes, sir. Now it's visible.
Yeah. Now somehow like I have 3 monitors, so that's why like adjustment I need to make it.
Okay.
Okay, now you guys can see.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you guys. So maybe as you said, you guys are like beginner in engineering, like second year student. So I don't know like how familiar with the computer vision image processing aspect and what exactly the deep learning. So I will go in my today's session basically give you little bit of overview what computer vision means and then what deep learning means, and then we can go slowly some applications and what tools and applications we are using, so that help you to understand and proceed further in your career. So let's start without wasting some time. So what is the computer vision? So basically, computer vision is nothing but image processing, but only a little bit of extra properties. Like when we take a picture typically has only two-dimensional coordinates like X, Y, Z. But in image processing, we get only the gray values, or if the image is color format, it is having red, green, blue. So that kind of contents are there in the images. But in terms of computer vision, what we are looking out, take an image and understand the properties those are visible to human, or it is visible for all the application. So take example like whatever the image I show here. So this image is typically a picture. So what we can gather from this image, typically it has a traffic scene, then number of vehicles are there, types of vehicles, then location, then other like assessment of congestion, like where is the traffic, location captured, and some other many more. So like by looking at this image, human vision system or the human brain can interpret various characteristics from the image. But how the computer should know? So that is known as a computer vision. So we have to understand the image content in terms of the computer vision. So not only this way, but additionally, some images are like in 3D to 2D, or sometimes it's a 2D to 3D. Like if we are seeing nowadays all the gaming industry, or you guys are maybe very familiar with all the games. We now get most of the 3D games. So those are in a graphics format, like X, Y, Z format. So, and then in the computer vision area, we just look at only particular angle. So basically, what you have to design, you have to work about sensitivity, like how that 3D model replicate into the 2D. And then when the model is replicated, what are the other information we can extract from the images? Then typically vision means like it's typical process. Get a scene, like how our body work with the vision. Take a scene, our eye understand the image acquisition part. Then we get the image on your retina. Then retina is transfer that image to brain. Then brain will be do your image interpretation, like what exactly that image contain, and give you some perception, like this image may be scenery or this image is traffic light. Then in computer vision, we are going to add same part, like in terms of eye, here the camera comes in a picture. So we have the camera which help you to capture your image, and then computer is going to be do your brain kind of activity, so that we need to understand what contents are there. So why computer vision? So like why we have to study the computer vision and other parameter. So any image, like by looking at any image, we can say 1,000 words, or somebody says like some writers can write by looking at one image is a whole movie. So kind of like we can design, like depend on your brain, you can design or develop some kind of perception by looking at one single image. And in terms of like biologically, like nowadays, like medical imaging and everything is very relying on the imaging, because some part we are not able to, like inside your body, there are like, we're not able to visually verify what is the tumor size or anything. But with the help of computer vision, we can pass like micro camera inside your body, and we can verify what tumor shape and everything internally. And otherwise, like all other words are like 3D, whatever object we are looking into 3D. So you require to have like 2D model or the dynamic model. And nowadays, like cameras and computer are very cheap. Like all of whatever the smartphone you guys are, everybody's using, it come up with small computer, like small processor, and then camera is like default. You have two cameras, like front camera and then back facing camera. So like that help us to improve your computer vision application tremendously. So typically, let's see, I can have another example. So like given an example, you have to find out how many images, like in that image, is the person is located or not. So the human eye can detect, but can computer vision can do this one. So these are like S instance, like all this image always has one person, minimum one person involved in this picture. If you look at these pictures, this one lady is here, there are two boys, here at little bit small picture is here, but still your human eye can detect there is a person involved. Then there is a no instance, means basically you have to understand, the computer should know that okay, this image don't have any person involved. These are like some truck pictures, some are snow picture, some are satellite pictures, some are like galaxy picture. So depend on that. So we have to make a database which understand by computer and giving us some input information in upfront, so that we can, computer can decide these are like person is involved or not involved. So how we achieve that? So there are like different kind of algorithms involved in computer vision. So like image geometry. So like one geometry, basically we are getting information into X, Y, Z. Like when we are talking about two-dimensional image, we are looking only at one line. But if you are talking about multiple slices in Z dimension, we have the different time iteration. Like the same image is captured in different time domain. So we can take that as a parameter wise. Next one, camera modeling. Like there are different kind of cameras are available. So like pinhole cameras, then lenses, camera parameter, calibration. So these are the different parameters needed so that we can get good image quality. So then image filtering and enhancement. So like image filtering is what? Typically when we capture the image, some images are like move or some kind of noise is going to be introduced into the image. So we have to, like this is a typical image I'm showing here at the left, which is a standard image processing image. And here we are applying some kind of image processing operations like edge detections, then getting some filtering operations so that we can remove the noise while acquiring the particular image. And sometimes we get some edges we needed for the further analysis. So we can come in the deep learning area, we can have more. Then another parameter is like image enhancement continue, like same image want to visually verify at different resolution. Like our smartphone has a small display resolution, then we have to see the same image on your smartphone. But if you want to connect the same image on your laptop or the 4K big screen, then the image not get deteriorated, like not get pixelated or not get blockiness. So that is we have to do with the help of image filtering. So user not able to understand how we can translate the image which is smaller resolution to higher resolution. With the help of filtering, we able to achieve some kind of filtering approach so that we can see the same image in higher scale. Then some more advanced features like region segmentation, like how to identify different regions from the images. Like in this image, I need to identify this is a tree, this is a wall, and this is a sky, this is a house. So these are like image segmentation parameter. This is used in medical industry more, or sometimes right now all our scene creation, like typically old scenes are there, like the black and white movies, everything. We recreated that images in the color format by using region segmentation. So we can region segment into gray, and then we pick particular combination which is look appropriate for particular segment, and then we transfer all the frame into the color domain. So that is like typical application. Then the color model. So the color is like millions of colors are available nowadays. But typically in image format, we focus on RGB, which is like red, green, blue. So these three color components make a combination and the image is created. So otherwise, typical biomedical imaging is a grayscale imaging between like 0 to 255 values, and then black and white images. So then different combinations of texture. Like texture may be like pattern, how you can capture the particular image, and how we can distinguish, is it a texture pattern or the image has a plain background, texture background, or what kind of background, so that we can make some kind of meaningful information. Then image restoration. So basically what image restoration, like we have to regenerate some of the image, or sometimes some images not properly captured. So with the help of restoration, we can synthetically regenerate some part of the image. Sometimes it is accurate, sometimes it is like translated basically, but it gives you some level of good feeling. Like if you take this image here, original image has some sign, and I want to remove this sign. So with a synthetic approach, I approximately remove that sign, and I get background image, like the texture background image, which is restored and properly. So we can use this synthetic image for further analysis or further design purpose. Then these are like some other grouping, like how we can group particular regions. Like if I'm saying, like if you copy two different pixels, so we have to make some kind of decision how we can make a region growing algorithm so that we can make a similar pixel group together. So that is like a little bit of mathematical details. I can skip this. Like basically this will be give you how the mathematically we are transforming all the images into different domains. And then another thing is like shape analysis. Like everybody, like our human vision system can recognize different shapes. Like these are all chairs are there. So in this image, like all chairs are there, but human vision system can recognize, but the computer not able to recognize. So we have to understand the shape, how the shape look like, and then we can feed that information. Then the stereo vision, like our eyes are like facing towards the forward. So like we have the stereoscopic eye vision. But if you compare like the animals, like the cow and other animals, their eyes are basically located, seeing in different directions, and they are capturing particular image. So like the stereo vision, or sometimes like now virtual reality, like you guys are maybe very known, like the virtual reality glasses also having like stereoscopic vision, so that we can regenerate the shape into 3D format. So there is like another feature which is very important in computer vision is stereo. Then motion and optical flow. So like how the image is going to be changed from one frame to another. So that motion and then optical flow is important for analyzing some features into the stack of 10,000 images. Like if you have the same image and stack like little bit of movement is there. So if you compare 10,000 images, we can require this motion and optical flow algorithm so that we can get more parameters. Then high level vision analysis, like after identify person, we have to create the bounding box. Like if you look at here, I need to have the algorithm which recognize my border, like where is the human is really located. So that algorithm is required additional complexity. So we have to study that algorithms, give us a little bit more details. And then I think everybody familiar with face detection. Like nowadays, all the digital cameras, mostly, or your smartphone also has face recognition. Like if you are coming, it automatically detect your face, and it added additional feature. So it's part of computer vision algorithm. Like first you have to identify your face, and there are like some features you have to extract, like eye, nose, and lips. Based on that, it will be tracked wherever you go. Your face will be tracked properly. Then there are like many applications of computer vision, like not limited to this, like autonomous cars, like we are discussing that one. Then planes, missiles, robots. Then some more applications like medical imaging, image retrieval. So many applications are there. So that's why you guys should know a little bit of computer vision and image processing that help you to at least understanding whatever the product you are using. Like somebody is using a smartphone, how the face recognition algorithm internally work. So that way, this, like whatever the webinar I'm covering here, that help you to understand at least understanding basic concept behind it. Then the basic example is like optical character recognition. So like this is the simple example where we have all the zip code, like in our India, like we call the pin code. The pin code is like pretty much standard, like everybody is written into 6 blocks, and then all the numbers are pretty much 0 to 9. So this on the left side here, this is like in US we are calling the zip code. So zip code is basically the same pin code over here. So basically whatever the numbers are coming, we are recognizing, like we have like 10,000 samples of each alphabet written by human and with into that particular checkbox. So that way we can recognize whatever the combination of 0 to 9 number written. So this is like most simple application running right now in all post office in US. So they just scan the zip code and then they sort it out all the letters equally based on the zip code. And then another example is a license plate recognition. So like this is a typical license plate example, which is captured from camera. Then you have to segment all the blocks and then parameterize so that it will be verified which number. And then it will be like nowadays in India also we have like CCTV cameras and all our RTOs capturing your images. And if you cross the signal, then it will be capturing your photographs and automatically the bills are coming to your home. So this is like this kind of application already in place, and they are like very popular because of the limitation is like it only have set number of features, like the human written hand parameter as well as the 0 to 9 and A to Z. So the alphabets are always involved. So that's why these algorithms are pretty much simple, but even though it's a little bit complex in particular area, but in OCR area, it is very easy and working well. Then face recognition, I say like sometimes now new digital cameras like Sony, Canon, they already have face recognition with multi-face. So like if you are having 4 faces into the camera, they can detect. Then another new features are added like smile detection. Like if you are sometimes the eye blink or the smile detection. So it not allow you to shutter up. Like if you are not smiling, you're not able to click your picture. So these are like because of computer vision, we're able to do this kind of application. And then like supermarket, like detecting the objects. So like I think Amazon is very popular nowadays due to this. So all the barcodes are already in place. So with the camera, it recognizes your product, whatever the product you are picking up from the supermarket, and without billing, automatically bill at the counter level. So that kind of some applications. So these are like object detection from your cart. Then another is like some complex algorithm for the face recognition. If the eyes are different or some kind of the shape features are different, so there are like complex algorithm people are working still. And then if it is like complex, then people are going to implement additional biometric feature like the eye features. So here we are calculating the iris of human eye. So we are taking eye retina, which is unique for everybody, and we are going to use that one as a feature. Then special effect, I think everybody familiar with the Matrix movie. So all the like recreation of the 3D persons when it is hit. So the shape captured and then shape will be refilled with 3D models. Then the motion capture, like converting some of the face by capturing some different movement, and we modify that face with some kind of animated or some other facial effects. And then right now the smart cards are very popular nowadays. So with the smart cards, they are like having different cameras, like front facing cameras, rear facing cameras, then side looking cameras, and then many parameters. So some of this is a small feature, but if you compare the new latest Tesla model, they have like 12 different cameras, and then they have the different features. So probably we can talk a little bit more once we have more on that. So okay, so till that we'll study about like what is needed in computer vision parameters. These are like features, but how you do this. So like there are like basically you have to study some basic algorithm, and then once you understand the algorithm, so there are like tools are available on computer vision, so that either you can use MATLAB or Python, which is like very popular in academia. So you guys can use MATLAB and Python so that you can get your application running. Like at least some libraries are already exist, so you need not to write your own filters or not enhancement. So some libraries are available, so you can import that library and use it. But in the industry, we are not focusing on the MATLAB and Python, because we are working on the real-time application area. MATLAB and Python are basically the packaging library, or it's taking lot of memory space. So that's why like in the industry, people are using C and C++. So that it's like system related programming language. So that way we can optimize further. And another programming is a CUDA, which we are going to discuss in a couple of minutes. And then images is like different kind of images databases available right now. So like no need to capture new images. You can readily available like 1 million images data sample, 2 million images data sample are available. Those captured all the combination. And then OpenCV is basically open computer, like open community computer vision library, which is like built on C++ and Python. So we can cover that one because it's open source, and then I can compare that one with CUDA, what is a like GPU related library. So that help you to get more speed up and real-time application. So till this point, any questions, so that we can take this question and then later on. So either way, like you guys want to take a question now for 5 minutes, and then at the end we have another question.
Sir, I think no one has question till now. So we will take the question at last.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. So okay, let's go now. What is a computer vision? So like Open Vision history, like OpenCV, or whenever they started, it started in 1999. So the Intel has initially their own library, and that library they make it as a public, so that everybody, there is a like conference in USA, like this a computer vision pattern recognition in 2000. That time they initially released some features of the library, so that a couple of engineers can start using and then start proposing some new algorithm instead of wasting their technology. So reinventing the old algorithm, so they can readily use the old algorithm, and on the top of that they can implement something new. So these are like little bit history, and use wise, like many users are there, like around 6 million plus downloads and 7K users or active users are currently using this library. And all the users from Google, Yahoo, then NVIDIA, everybody is using this library as a proof of concept. And some of the users are using same algorithm, like same library for some other applications, as it is open source. So the licensing fees and everything is like very minimal. So it is okay to have that application live. So if you look at the architecture and development, how this library look like. So the library language supported currently C, C++, Python, CUDA. So they are still adding more library support. And then these are like third-party library. Those are required based on your application. If you don't need these libraries, we can, as it is open source, so it's you have the configuration parameter. You can configure, or you can just, we don't need it, then don't configure this particular parameter. And these are the particular models are available. Those you require like machine learning, image processing, computer vision, all on FFmpeg is basically new video codec. And then there are hardware architecture, like it's supporting small smartphone based application versus high-end desktop applications. So probably I can go a little bit more into that. Then these are like some application which we already discussed, like Google Maps and the Google Street and Google Earth. Everybody like whenever you are using Google Map. So internally the OpenCV, some of the library used internally so that we can map properly your coordinate locations. So that, and the street views, another parameter. Academic and industry research, like all various universities in US or all over world, they are using OpenCV as a parameters, and they are actively doing some research on this library. Security system like CCTV, and then image retrieval, some other applications we can have that. And then application wise on NVIDIA also, we have Android based applications, which is a Tegra, another parameter, and then another GPU. So now I'm going to show you small video. So I think you guys may not familiar with what is a CPU and GPU. So this is a like small video. Let me know you guys can listen. You guys can see something on my screen?
Yes, sir, it's
Yes.
visible.
Yeah. Volume is clear?
No, sir, volume is not there.
So just a second. So CPU is basically central processing unit, and why is it not taking? So this is like with the CPU and then with the GPU now. So like GPU is basically we have the multiple CPU. Come on. Oh, guys, I think buffering is. Hmm. Maybe I can put this in our chat window somehow. The video is maybe my video is, and if you turn off my video, then maybe the buffering is faster. So like, so what is like CPU and GPU? CPU is basically give you more central processing unit base, and then GPU is your normal. Give me 1 minute somehow. Yeah, so like CPU and GPU is basic central processing unit versus GPU is a graphics processing unit. And you guys maybe all the gaming laptop, everybody says that GPU is needed for your gaming laptop so that we can play all our latest games effectively. But simultaneously, NVIDIA come up with another programming platform so that we can use same GPU to develop some of other image processing as well as scientific application on the GPU. So to achieve that, there is a programming language for that. So that programming language is known as CUDA, which is known as Compute Unified Device Architecture Programming Language, which launched in 2009. And basically it's very popular and it is coming with C++ platform oriented. But there are like Python wrappers are available. So you guys are familiar with Python. We can use Python wrapper to use that library. But library still, if you are using Windows, then it is on DLL base, or Linux, then we have like SO libraries are available. So these are like, so CPU do same application, whatever the application I just show, is basically single task can be handled CPU effectively. But the GPU is made for doing same task for multiple cores, like doing same task by multiple cores. Typically on the GPU, there are like 400 plus GPU cores are available. Like we call it a stream multiprocessor. So when we call the core, we call it as a one CPU, which is a stream multiprocessor is available, which is having around 400, and latest GB100 GPU, which we launched, which has 6,000 CUDA cores. So depending on what kind of costing factors and everything, the GPUs are going to be varied differently. So going to that, so what are the different features are supported by OpenCV and then GPU. So we are going to cover a little bit of image processing, like whatever the core image processing operations, like whatever we studied in the beginning, like reading the images and color converting and other compression, like removing the noise or enhancing, so that kind of parameters. Then we have another parameter is object and feature detection, like how we detect particular features from the face. Like for face detection, we have to localize your face and then extract the features. Then we have the like geometric based like stereo vision, which we discussed, like we just thought about, and then computational photography, where we require to have combination of big image like panorama image. If you want to do same camera can capture your panoramic image. So internally it's doing some kind of computer vision processing. So we get one image, two image, so depending on our 360-degree orientation, all the images are stored in a buffer, and one after another we are calculating the common features and then we stitch together. Then machine learning, like all the other libraries, then OpenCL and GPU. So like why GPU? So CPU speed and thermal power limit. So what it means? So like CPU is bound to be some kind of speed limitation. So there is like Moore's law, like how many transistors we can put into particular CPU. So that is like about to having like more compact scenario right now. So if you put more transistor into particular CPU, the thermal power will be limiting more, and then it may be having a fire hazard or anything. So and other memory and other parameters are parallelly improving. So typically on the CPU, there are like 4 core, 8 core, and i10 and other series are there. So depending on that, there are like minimum number of multi-cores are available, but we don't have like more multi CPUs are not there. In terms of GPU, right now, like hundreds of cores are available. Those are like simple core, and they do simple application. They are not doing like complex application like CPU does sometimes. conditional code and the other complex parameter CPU can handle effectively. But GPU do simple tasks very faster, and it's continuously growing. Like every year, NVIDIA launch under the new GPU, which always has additional CUDA cores, additional features, and other parameters. So that is like the room. And if you compare the GPU compute-wise versus memory-wise, so if you compare these theoretical GFLOPs in this image, like it's like pretty much old GPU, still like it's 2012. It's very old GPU, and we are still ahead of like 3,000 gigaflops per second. Like gigaflops means floating point operations per second we are supporting. And over at the bottom, these are like CPU, like Sandy Bridge. The blue lines are indicating for the Intel. The same case with the theoretical parameter wise. So we are like continuously going. So current graph is like pretty much high. I don't want to put that one, but it is available on this link. And then graphics versus like all the computer vision and graphics, both are required parallelism. So with the help of this kind of graphics operations, we can do parallel operations. Then simple example, like how the CPU example will be look like in a C++ environment. If you don't familiar with C++, it's okay to not understand the details of this program, but I am putting only for understanding purpose, like how typical program will be look like. So this is a typical header file you have to load, then the C++ parameter. This is my image which I want to load, the car image which has a 1080 size. I am loading this image into the gray format, then allocate some memory and then do some filtering, and then apply the edge detection, and then store the image and then display it at the end. So like typically, if you run this program, this is my image, and after edge detection, the image will be look like this. So only few lines of code in C++ can give you the same image edges. Those are present in all the images. So if you do same thing with CUDA example, same parameter, only some CPU, GPU headers, same memory, only you have to allocate on the GPU memory, allocate the parameter, get the output done. Same output, it look like same, almost similar without having any parameter. So what is the difference? So the speed. So if you compare this one on the CPU and the GPU with the CUDA programming, the typical operations like timing I am mentioning here. So total time is like for CPU, we require 2540 milliseconds to get edges, whereas on CUDA it's only required 1200 milliseconds. So it's like 12 times faster. So it's only one simple application we can denoise effectively with the help of GPU. Same thing, like there are like various applications available. So addition, subtraction, division, square root, other parameters. Like typically say, take an image, this is like color image. We are calculating hue, then saturation, and then value. So like three components from the same image by the help of GPU. Then geometric operation, I just mentioned the panorama. So like here is a like panorama image, which is created by cutting different image subparts and then they stitching together. But when we are looking like 360-degree now, latest camera has, we are little bit more prone and we modify a little bit more further filtering so that we can get clear view. And then this is stereoscopic, like we have like the another complex, and sometimes like some camera has like the stereo vision effect, so we can minimize that, like distortion, lens distortion basically we call. And typical image processing, we can skip this one right now. And then some blending, then denoising, like look at this image, and after denoising, the face part is basically very clear. So basically this is all the apps are like currently available, like with Photoshop, all the apps are already giving us more features, like you can convert with gray or vintage copy or some other combination. But they're behind that, they are having some kind of program or some APIs. Same thing like Fourier transform, getting data into the segmentation domain. Then shape detection, like this is like score, like a soccer parameter. If you take, we can properly segment particular boundary. This is like medical images, and then I'm getting exact boundary of each blood cells. then the face recognition, and then object detection. Like this is like face detection. I'm detecting eyes also, and then some same parameter with the pedestrian detection. So I'm discussing the pedestrian detection algorithm next. Then object detection, like small objects. Then stereoscopic, converting other parameters. Motion effects, optical flow. Background of segmentation, like we can segment and then pre-process the image. So if you look at here, in this we have the three pictures, and here after processing and removing the one person, background segmentation, this object is not here. So with the help of segmentation, we can remove particular object so that we can enhance the images. Advantage, we can skip this one. So the GPU is everywhere nowadays. Like if you compare your tablets, smartphones, or everywhere, Shield, everywhere we have the GPU. Then we have the development board, like add-on boards, and then we have the small automotive board, which is like Jetson. So these are basically the Tesla car use, early version of Tesla. They are using Jetson Tegra, and that model is like supporting up to 12 cameras, real-time processing. Then desktop GPUs, like either you can use Intel or AMD CPU, and you can club with GeForce or Quadra or some other Tesla GPUs, so that you can get all the benefit of GPU. Then some other like supercomputers nowadays, like all high performance computing application, these guys are using more GPUs, so that also there. So now I'm going to discuss like the internal details about detecting the pedestrian. So basically why this algorithm is important, like in autonomous area, all the cameras are fitting like the front, back, left, right, and then all that. So they are always seek for the detecting the pedestrian or the movement around the car. So it's like different parameters are involved into the detecting this parameter. So we call as a histogram, oriented histogram. So basically HOG is an algorithm which treats how to identify the gradient. Basically gradient is basically the parameter which we have to extract from the image, which give you the two parameters, which is the magnitude and orientation. So the magnitude is basically like what is the key picture values are held by this, and then orientation is like what direction this image is going to be parameterized. And with the histogram, we can parameterize all the parameters, like which description, where the person is going to be located. So basically working on this single image, we can take single image and then parameterize gamma correction, gradient calculation, then sliding window algorithm, multi-scale. So these are the 3 to 4 different algorithms you have to apply to detect this kind of pedestrian. So like this is another parameter, detail about the algorithm. So the steps involved like this. So first you have to take a gradient computation. So this is like first step. Here the gradient computation, typical formula like this. Take this my mask, this is my image. You need to apply this mask on the image. Then another parameter, same with horizontal, vertical. Then get square root. And then this is a magnitude and this is your angle. It's basically orientation. So with this Sobel filter, we are going to be calculate your first computation. Then second part is basically block histogram calculation. So whatever the block you are getting to detect, you have to calculate the block histogram and slide the window. Like I calculate first this block, then next block, so that we can verify which has a different histogram values. And then based on that histogram, like this is like different histograms are coming for the different blocks, 4 blocks. And then what we do like verify the which one is closest based on the Gaussian algorithm, and then normalize that value. So like histogram, which is basically giving us between 0 to whatever the maximum gray values are available into that image. Then we have to normalize between 0 to 1 so that we can get proper values. And then we are using support vector machine. Basically, it's an early stage of pattern recognition algorithm where we known as before, like when the neural network developed, parallelly mathematically another algorithm developed is known as the support vector machine. So it's mathematically verified, but the limitation of support vector machine is it's only binary classifier. It gives only the 2 classes. The object is present or not present. So that's why it is linear classifier. By looking at this line here, block here, the red is one class, blue is another class, and then this is a hyperplane. which divide your data into two parts. And then on the GPU, we implement the same algorithm on the GPU. We are able to get at least eight times faster than CPU. So this is like one parameter, like which is all the autonomous vehicle algorithm is using, and that's why it is required to be fine-tuned and running parallelly. That's why this algorithm is very important. Now going back to the new topic, like autonomous driving. So like why autonomous driving and what are the parameter user need to design? Like I want to design autonomous car, and then what parameter I need to design. So basically how the cars are driving, basically like the human are sitting, then he basically looking at his eyes and the steering action on the steering wheel. And there are like some other parameter like the acceleration, brake, and then depending on the autonomous vehicle, like we don't have like the gears are not going to be changed, they're automatic. So basically, so these are like some parameters you have to consider while designing the autonomous driving system. So like monitoring driving, like user base, like eyes and hand coordination. Then if you take out your hand from the steering wheel, what kind of operations typically we have to do? So that's kind of typical flow and designing criteria for designing autonomous system. So if you compare here, like monitor driving, like eyes and hand coordination, and then on the right side, non-monitoring driving, like your eyes are off, one eye is on, or sometimes you are not putting your hands on steering wheel. So that kind of combination. So depending on like different level of autonomous sectors are involved. So driver only driver only, the first like assisted, only the person are to put his hand. So depending on different categories, that autonomous driving is evolved nowadays. So the full automation is like still not allowed because of there are like different issues involved with insurance policy and everything, but still it is ongoing development. So typically what the block diagram will be look like. So if you compare the autonomous driving component, what typical the block diagram, first part is basically the environment. So the within that car, what are the other environment you are going to be driving the car? Like it is going to be traffic, other conditions, other parameters, then the hilly area, scenery, all other parameters. So who will be give this information to the system? So first of all, the sensors, like all the sensors are going to be give you all the areas, then light sensing, other thermodynamic sensing, like temperature and everything. And then another parameter is the camera sensors. So like giving us the video, real-time video continuously monitoring with high range. Then some kind of actuator to basically controlling the car, like what kind of motion you have to do, like reverse movement, left turn, right turn, or forward going directions. So based on that, we have to get all this hardware information, and then in the software, all these parameters are going to be actively processed to make some kind of control action. So you get a sensor give you some data. We have to understand that where the location, like if it is GPS map driven, you have to understand it is on the street or it is out of the street, what are the parameters, then capturing other signs, other parameters, and then converting the path. Like if it is going to be on the straight line, you have to take turn, the speed control, and parallelly, you have to send some of the data to the cloud so that other parameter, we are going to be controlling more other parameter as going to be captured by the system so that we can make a decision in a driving system. So typically, if you look at the camera now and then the car, the environment, like how the autonomous driving car will be look like. So like this is my car, and like this is a front facing camera. So I need, like for cruise control, I require a little bit bigger vision. Emergency braking system, we require some kind of different sensors here. So then we have like the driver side sensors, then another left side sensors, and rear view sensors. So typically all kind of parameters are here. So if you take the blue, less dark green, basically it's long range radar, so basically which is required for the cruise control. Then we have the ladder. So basically this is new sensor is introduced now, but due to the cost and everything, like some companies are doing development based on like parameters. Then we have the cameras, like the gray color marking will be giving us the information about the neighborhood, and then short range, basically giving you the small radar, like it's like blind spot, or if you are having very close to particular object or nearest next car. So that kind of information like collision or some other parameter warning for that person. So these are like typical sensors required from your neighborhood characteristics. And then what is the deep learning now? So why deep learning is very popular with respect to the autonomous vehicle? Because deep learning is nothing but neural network, but deep learning has additional features. Like if you add more hidden layer, the term neural network translate into the deep learning. So that's why we require like huge computational power needed for the deep learning. So early stage, it is like 1 decade ago. So computational power is not that much cheap, and a lot of parameters are involved. So that time it is not feasible to add more hidden layers or other parameter. But with the GPU, other parameterized, so that this hidden layer or deep learning applications are evolving very fast nowadays. The typical parameter is like deep learning has this kind of model. So it's like AlexNet model. Typically, people says take an image, then we can convert back to polling, then another max polling, then convolution, then max polling, and then finally fully connected layer, and we can make some decision. So whatever that image is captured is going to be have parameter. So right now there are like lot of research is going around in the deep learning in autonomous area. So you guys can look like whatever the slides I have. So you can look. I gave all the reference paper in each description in the next slide, so that you can go into their paper, verify what is their approach and how that research help us to contribute into autonomous driving area. So like some are open source platform nowadays are very popular for the deep learning is TensorFlow, then PyTorch, Tenao is like, then cafes two are like they are now outdated, but still they are using some of the researcher, then TensorFlow with, then MXNet is, and then PyTorch is from the Facebook, and some other tools are available. Then the typical multi-layer network or the DNN network is like AlexNet, GoogleNet, ResNet. So these are the typical nets are available. You can use in your application. And if you don't want to use any of this network, you can design your own network and then feed your information as per your each layer information. So when I'm saying about this AlexNet, the typical layers and everything is defined in this AlexNet. So you can reuse the same by using your own images. That kind of. Then like encoder, decoder, some other parameter. Then RNN, then different GPU parameterized. And then there is a generative addressing network. Basically, it will be give you some kind of combination of images. So we can generate some sort of images which is not available. So automatically we can train that parameter. So like let's start with like one example, like why the deep learning and then autonomous vehicles are very popular. So whatever the algorithm we discuss, like the for computer vision, we need to identify this person particular, which is sitting on the horse and everything. So typically we get this feature map, and then the feature map are going to be passed particular network, and then we can draw the bounding box around the person with the help of the deep learning network. Same parameter like here another network with the parameterized, we can get all the scene segmentation. Same parameter here, another picture I am putting here, which is like face recognition with the deep learning network. We are getting more features, like not only your face features, but we can have other dimensions of features to get good accuracy. Like certain face recognition algorithm earlier not able to recognize like different continent images, because whatever the database you train, based on that the algorithm works well. But with this deep learning approach right now, with like different world continent, we can feed any kind of race images or different kind of faces, be able to recognize face and segment it properly. So these are like typical algorithms. So with the help of the computer vision, like with the deep learning, object detection is properly, sense segmentation is working effectively nowadays, pose estimation, object tracking, like whatever the object we capture. Like this base example is like our cricket match, like nowadays the IPL. If you are capturing the ball, like when particular person hit the six, the motion is very high. So, but with the help of image processing and computer vision, be able to track that ball effectively, so that we can see in the various light conditions and then other parameters. Yeah. So another parameter like promising results are still developing, like denoising, edge detection, other parameters are still there. And then nowadays, everybody is like, maybe if you are using Apple phones, they are like Siri. If you speech recognition model, how they understand when we talk to them. Or for Amazon, Alexa is there. Or Google, we have the Hey Google. So that way, like different speech recognition and NLP models are available in deep learning that help you to convolution, like conversation speech AI. So that way also deep learning is very popular into that domain. And then little bit more detail about autonomous driving, how it is helping. So like for perception model, we require sensor calibration registration, sensor fusion, obstacle, lane, traffic sign, line detection, obstacles, then segmentation. So like these are required for the first part of the parameter. And then planning and driver behavior is another part, and end-to-end control. And then NVIDIA has another simulation software where without going on the car, without going on the street, we able to capture only the recording, like video recording from that area. We can simulate the behavior. Is the car is without distraction able to drive there or not? So that kind of some simulation part is available. So these are like typical parameter look like the car sensors here, then software algorithm, and other mapping sensors. Little bit more detail, like I have mentioned here. If you are more interested, you can just go and refer this paper for the more details. So why the camera calibration is required? So basically, camera is like very like optical device. So it's like deoriented. If you are taking multiple flashes or the continuous monitoring of the images, so it's required to be calibrated frequently. Like it's not that much frequently, but with the algorithm, we able to calibrate the image and get the proper parameter. Like this is the image, but without camera calibration, all the coordinates are going to be decalibrated. So camera not giving you proper image. But with a deep learning network, we able to calibrate the image and getting proper features. Then another parameter is like 3D point, like getting another directions for the getting parameter, like which one is good or bad. Then the ladder base, it's like very object detection, like depending on what length we can detect the object is present or not, so that we can make an early prediction and stop the car. Then another one is the fusion detection, like the early fusion, like if you are going back or the forward, these are the typical algorithms. And then late fusion, like if you are applying the brake, what are the other factor need to be taken into consideration so that car can stop effectively. And then another parameter is like which area, the like parallel parking or some other parameter, you have to train your algorithm so that we can understand is it the neighboring person is going to be car or the bicycle rider or some other or bike rider, so we can get that kind of database. And then another important parameter is like traffic sign and then recognition, because all the street everywhere we are having different signs. So with the help of our computer vision algorithm, you have to identify all these signs like the speed limit, then school signs, all other signs. So we can analyze these signs and give the proper decision so that the car can make proper action. Like suppose the speed limit, what is the posted speed limit? Car need to be follow that, and then taking off the directions like turn or left or right. So based on that, your steering wheel action need to be considered. And the traffic light, like the green go, another parameter, so that we can, once it is low, then only we have to decide whether you have to stop or you have to go. So that this algorithm need to be very effective and fast, because very fraction of second the green line is on, and then you have to make a decision quickly. Otherwise, the car behind you give you a honk, and then you're not able to make a decision properly. So this algorithm needs to be very real time and fast. And other parameter like coloring, converting, if the object is really on the street or not on the street. So we have to make, because the road signs are properly marked. So based on that, we can do segmentations. And then multi-node, I can skip this one. This is not effective. Then I want to show you the next last one, which is our parameter So now, as I mentioned you, like in NVIDIA, we have like driving simulator. So this is basically another software where the NVIDIA putting a lot of effort and implementing in-house that user need not to put it into the car, like in the area where I'm staying here. So a lot of autonomous vehicles we are seeing. So they are basically having a lot of cameras sitting on, and they are running around the city to capture the images, read the signs, get all the directions so that car can train effectively. But with the help of this simulator, what we can do, like we can have without autonomous car, the car only mounted the cameras, capture the videos around the cities and come to the server system in NVIDIA. NVIDIA can take all your images like captured by your cameras and feed that images to our network so that simulator can verify what is the action. So that action can be fed to the parameterized model, and then that model will be give you real-time parameter like how the car will be look like, all the parameters. So that way user can make a decision. So I want to show you another video where latest NVIDIA, maybe let's see how it is. Wait, I need to skip this one. I want. Maybe you guys, I can put this one into the chat window so that we can see.
Yes, sir. I have pasted the link.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. So like this is like our CEO Jensen. Basically, he talked last week in San Jose, like online conference, GTC GPU Technology Conference. So in that, he's sharing about how the new autonomous GPUs, like we have some different combination of autonomous vehicles and other parameters. So user can verify and okay, user can use it effectively. So that kind of model there. So like end-to-end driving learning model. So we have like end-to-end driving learning model. Take your like all the sensor data, adjust the parameter like random shape, everything, train it with the CNN like convolution neural network and parameterize, get your black Gaussian algorithm. So typical neural network model is here. And then for testing, whatever the camera database you are doing, you have to pass with the CNN network and then get drive like what direction the car need to be moved. So this kind of parameter. And another thing is like only you can collect the data. Like we don't want to give some kind of prediction. We can collect the data internally and train it effectively so that we can go one by one and understand what features we are going to extract. Another parameter is like understanding the each city wise, like some cities are not yet trained. So probably we need to, before driving that car there, we have to get data samples or the pinpoint and then train your model synthetically so that it can run effectively into your area. And another parameter is like what exactly we require to avoid, like the distraction. So, and how that distraction we have to categorize as one of the feature. Like user is like looking at the phone while driving. Sometimes the user is like looking keen, but the light effects are coming, which is like sunny days or something like the light is very high. So we're not able to understand is the person is attentive or not attentive. Or sometimes he's talking to some person sitting next to him, or he's talking or he's looking at some GPS map. So that way some kind of distractions are there. We have to train that model and understand that is that distractions are good or bad. Based on that, it's a normal driving mode or it's a sleeping mode or he's in drowsiness or he's in sleepy mode. So based on that, we can decide your driving system parameters. So another parameter is like getting more features wise. Sometimes somebody is having the glasses, somebody is having some different ways of driving scenes or other parameters like internal to the car. Like whatever the autonomous driving we talked earlier, it is like outside the environment parameter. But internally, you have to understand the human behavior, like how he do the car driving and what kind of features he required, like the seat belt and other feature internal to the car or the ignition system check. So that's way we can have all the parameter and get the model ready for your parameter wise. Okay, yeah, that's it. I think. So, stop sharing now.
Sir, there are some questions in the Q&A section.
Yeah. There is a document for Q&A section. Oh, okay. Okay, the first question is like developing deep learning algorithm. We need to do programming ourselves or we can use existing algorithms. So that is like depending on your application. So like if you want to quickly learn and then come up with your idea, like whatever the idea you are thinking, you can definitely use existing existing TensorFlow models. Basically, they are like pre-existing models are available in TensorFlow, PyTorch, or Scikit, Keras. So you can definitely use that one. So that help you to understand your idea, what exactly you are thinking, and come up with your solution quickly. But if you want to go a little bit more detail, like you don't understand the mathematics, how the training and your accuracy is coming good or bad, in that case, you have to deep dive into the algorithm. So the tools only help you to give you some level of algorithm accuracy. It's not 100% accurate, but with the help of TensorFlow or some other application, you have to go a little bit more detail. And then that's why like all the researchers, what they do, they understand internal of the neural network, like what neural network is doing internally. So that way you can tune your model effectively so that system can run faster. So, and then another one is what is a CUDA and how you get it to CUDA core. Yeah, okay. So like the CUDA is basically the programming platform, which is known as a Compute Unified Device Architecture, which is like programming platform. And basically it is give you the freedom underlying GPU, like how many GPU cores are available. So if you write a CUDA program, it give you freedom how many cores you want to use. Like typically hundreds of cores are available, but with the help of programmer, you can use how much GPU cores you want to use. So that way, and what other features, like you can scale your application parallelly, or you can scale with the multiple slices. Some other applications are there with that. And then how do we power such automation in real-time vehicle life? Mm. Okay, so the question is like how we can leverage the power, like if we are talking about the power in the real-time vehicles. So typically the power is like very uh, important factor when we design the real-time application, because most of the autonomous vehicles or everybody is driven by the battery operated. So basically, if your application or the algorithm which you are doing as a real-time parameter, if it is taking more power, so basically you are draining the algorithm, taking more power, then you are draining the battery, and then that way your algorithm is not that much effective, and it will be drain your power basically. So what people we like, what typically we do, we understand the algorithm complexity, and then we design the algorithm in shorter footprint. Like sometimes we require less accurate but low power algorithm. So that way, what we have to do, like we have to take 2 pointers. One pointer is only for the algorithm, another pointer is for the another decision criteria. So that way, you have to make two level of implementation to make real time low power application. But in certain cases, we required more accurate algorithm. So we have to make a compromise and putting additional computational power. So that way. And then with autonomous vehicle right now, like various algorithms are available. So everywhere, like company like the Tesla always give us the different patch of algorithm. Like they give you update. It's like similar to our computer software. Like whatever the mobile we are getting every 6 month computer, like smartphone, they are releasing some patch or some update. So that way we can get some new features. So that way, if your model has predefined hardware, we can retune the algorithm so that we can get good accuracy. Okay, our RTX tensor core works to upgrade from existing GTX card. So okay, so like this is little bit. The GTX card is like an old card, and the RTX card, like the architecture is totally different. The GTX card is built on the old architecture like Tesla and then Fermi, and depend on like what GTX card you guys are using. But RTX is a new architecture, and this is designed for the ray tracing technology. So that card itself give you lot of computational power, and it is specifically designed for gaming industry. Like with the help of RTX, you are able to get CUDA core versus RTX core. So that is additional features you are able to get. And additionally, the cost factor also involved in that. But with RTX core, if you want to upgrade, depend on your application, what you want to do. Like if you want to play the games and you are more interested into the lighting effect of your games, like if the shadows and the lighting effect and the games like in the 3D environment, some of the games RTX tensor core is running very, very fast, and you get minor details into your gaming machine, like if you have gaming machine, so that will help you there. Then another one is yeah, how we can use OpenCV library for text detection, like OCR. So basically, like there are like different steps are involved into the OCR detection. Like you have to get segmentation, and then once you are get segmentation of that particular number, then we can put that block into particular blocks and then apply like the OpenCV based support vector machine or decision algorithm basically. Or otherwise you can use AlexNet, like the deep learning AlexNet is very popular for the same OCR parameter. Okay. Can you throw some light what is Pascal and Ampere architectures are? So like this is little bit of hardware on the GPU side. So if you follow about the old GPU architecture, like the GPU has like some kind of periphery, like how much stream multiprocessor and how the internal memories are handled. So like the Pascal architecture basically has some limitations on the how much core, like the cores are going to be used. Like stream multiprocessors are limited, so that is a little bit limitations. with Ampere architecture, which is the latest architecture and launched in the May, like this year, like May 2020. And in that we have like lot of new features are introduced. Like it is based on RTX new architecture environment. And in architecture wise, we have like RT core, CUDA core, and Tensor core. The three different cores are introduced inside one hardware architecture. So the same chip has three different combinations. So user can use any core based on his application area. So it's depend on like what kind of application you guys are interested. The Ampere, but Ampere is basically more suitable for all the cloud computing and other applications recently. So the purpose to design Ampere architecture is to have more cloud friendly, or those are like nowadays we are doing like work from home or the online sessions. Basically, this is driven by the clouds. So the cloud basically have these GPU features, and then how much GPU they want to use. With the help of Ampere, we can cluster based on the user uses. So that are like particular features of Ampere architectures. Additional, like the memories are improved, then CUDA cores are increased. That is always happening. Like if you compare with Pascal and Ampere, the both are going to be upgraded. Wise.
We don't
So
have
any
any
other?
questions now. You have.
So there is like
Yes,
can
Supur.
deep learning be used in a tech generation? So there is a question on like, can deep learning can be used for the text generation and how? Like there is like natural language processing. There is another toolbox, like new terminology in the deep learning, which is called natural language processing, and then speech recognition systems. So based on that, people are trying to converting some of the text, like whatever we are speaking, parallelly we are converting that one into the text. So that way we can get all the speaking item, like whatever the speech we are like, having the text converted into the text. So there is like two different algorithms are there currently available, but the research is going on, and depending on the how much word we can speak. So the algorithm typically have the word base, like word error rate. Like if I speak continuously 2 minutes, and then that 2 minute, how much word I can chop. So that chopping and converting and writing into the particular scenario take some parameter. And there is like new research also going on, like reading a particular one page of document. Sorry. Yeah, there is like new research on the one page of document, and then you can ask the question about like reading that page. You can understand that what is the temperature in Pune, or the what is temperature in Mumbai. So that, and if that paragraph has any answer, like 27 degree or whatever the degree temperature is there today, the answer will be like this: in Mumbai today's temperature is 23 degree, kind of. So that kind of research is going on, depending on how much words user want to read and parameterize. So that kind of, so there are like a lot of researches going on. So yeah. There is a question on like in real time high availability application, what is more helpful CUDA? It's basically the CUDA is developed on the C++. So basically CUDA is nothing but C++ library, but the normal C++ libraries are useful for particular application. But your current machine, like whatever the application machine in the real time, whatever you are doing, and if your machine don't have GPU, then CUDA not invoke. And if you don't have GPU, by default, everything run is in normal C++. So the CUDA is implemented on the top of C++ library. So if you don't have GPU on your machine or the real-time application, automatically the algorithm compiled by C++ and you get the real-time or whatever the application you're running on the CPU. It's basically the C++ programming. So yeah, that's it. I think yeah, I got all. Yeah. Anybody has any questions? Yeah.
The question in chat box.
Yes, do we need NVIDIA GPUs for the CUDA application? Yes. If you want to do any CUDA programming, you require a GPU card installed on your desktop, or if you are having a laptop has a GPU card, you can use that one. And there are like some kind of cloud computing like AWS and other instances are available, so that if you want to develop some applications, we can create some applications. And NVIDIA also providing some training, like the Deep Learning Institute from NVIDIA provides some pre-training for the student for like 30 hours or something. So you have to enroll there, and then you can start using the cloud service. Like they not give you the GPU, they give you the cloud instance, so that you can create your account, and whatever the course you are enrolling, through that course probably you can get GPU application running at your end. Okay. Can we use any other GPU platform other than NVIDIA for the CUDA application? So there is like AMD also designing the GPUs. So AMD also has similar kind of GPUs, but they are not run with the CUDA programming platform. So for that, you have to use OpenCL. So there is another programming platform which is similar to multi-threaded, multi-parameter, which is called OpenCL. So OpenCL basically give you freedom to use any GPU. Like Intel also developed some of the GPU, but those are not powerful as NVIDIA. So you can configure that GPU with the help of OpenCL programming, which is written on the top of C++. But it is not optimized, not scaled properly. But you can use AMD GPU as well as Intel GPU and NVIDIA GPU with OpenCL programming platform. NVIDIA GPU also supported by OpenCL, but the performance difference is more. Like if you use OpenCL to do programming for NVIDIA GPU, the performance is not that much. But if you use CUDA to do same programming application, the speed up is very much higher.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, wasn't it? Well, I learned a lot about OpenCV, CUDA, CPU, GPU, autonomous driving, and deep learning and all. And thank you so much, Mr. Khartare, sir, for giving us your precious time. We appreciate it a lot. Now, I would like to request Pooja ma'am to speak few words on the session. Please, Pooja ma'am, over to you. I think Pooja ma'am have some technical issue. Okay, no problem. So thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it a lot. Okay, yeah, thank you.
And there, I thought it was muted, so you couldn't hear. Wonderful session, Mr. Mahesh. Really, it was really very informative, and I think my students must have learned a lot, and they have enjoyed also. Such a wonderful session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So you can reach me anytime. Like my email ID and everything is available. So thank you. Thank you for giving me time and listening my talk.
Yeah, that's really great. If anyone still has any question, we can forward you the questions.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you, entire team.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Thank you for attending the session. I think you all learned a lot. Thank you. See you. Have a great day, guys.
Yeah, all the best for entire club, and looking forward for your next initiatives. Thank you. Bye,
Yeah,
guys.
sure.
Bye-bye.